You are onto a life transforming experience as Pastor Prince Abah brings you God's Word with deep insight and power. God bless you.
Yesterday, some people came to my compound to come and to empty the what do you guys call it? Some people call it sock away, the sewage, whatever. They came to. So while they were doing that, I carefully observed from my window. I was looking at these guys doing this stuff, and I was like, wow, this thing is big business. Well, let's leave it. I won't talk about it because of time. I won't tell you until you see it. Okay. The law of action. People are not successful because they don't act on anything. Isaac Newton says that everything is at a state of rest until an external force is applied to it. So nothing moves until people move. 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 So do not blame anybody, any circumstance, or anything you are experiencing for your current position. Blame yourself for not taking action. The word action is spelled A-C-T-I-O-N. Action means act on. That's the word action. A-C-T-I-O-N. Action means act on. So remove the A-C-T minus the I. Then there is O-N. Act on. If you bring the I back, it's idea. Act on the idea. Act on an idea. It's not enough to just have an idea. There are some of you who, if I ask, maybe you can tell me impressive things. I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to do this other one. Okay, that's all right. But if you do not take steps towards actualizing any dream or goal that you have, you will not, as a matter of truth, see the reality of that dream. So what I want to share with you is the greatest limitation of people. The greatest force that places limitation on people's dreams, on people's calling, on people's potentials, on people's ideas. I want you to open your ears and listen to me carefully. I'm not going to be screaming or shouting or doing all those move and all that. I want to help you, teach you. I want to coach you this morning. Nothing comes to you until you go to them. Can I say it again? Nothing comes to you until you go to them. A man who wakes up in the morning and keeps wishing and dreaming for money to come will keep wishing and dreaming. A man who wakes up in the morning and expects things to just get better will end up bitter. Because nothing actually gets better until you get better. Nothing gravitates to you until you gravitate to them. It's a simple arithmetic of life. It's a simple law of life. Nothing moves towards you until you have moved towards it. If you are a goal setter, you must be a goal getter also. Nothing moves towards you until you move towards them. Joshua chapter 1 verse 8, a popular scripture you know. Let me show you the law of action. If you do not take steps, you will end up in rot. Your life will smell. Steps you do not take. Can you enlarge that scripture? Steps you do not take are victories denied. If you do not put your life on motion, your life will end in commotion. People have all sorts of commotions in life because their lives are motionless. Whether you like it or not, a river that is constantly flowing cannot stink, no matter the amount of death that enter it. I didn't hear what you said. I didn't hear what you said. Did you say yes to that? I'm not sure you heard me. I said no matter the amount of death and poo-poo that enters a river that keeps flowing, it can't stink. So put shit inside. Put poo-poo. Put urine. Put leaves. Put fruits. Put any nonsense you want to put. Put dead animal inside the river. As long as that river keeps flowing, that river cannot stink. But establish a pond or a swimming pool that is stagnant. Put umbrella above it. Ensure there is no leather. Ensure there is no paper. Ensure there is no leaf that enters it. Just give it 1 week. No matter how you preserve it and no matter how clean the swimming pool is, give it 1 week or even less. Come back to it. It's stinking. Have you seen a fish pond before? So if your life is stagnant and stagnated, my friend, that is why you are stinking. A man who is constantly doing something does not stink. A man who is constantly on motion does not stink. I've checked this thing. I've observed it carefully. It's a law that works. Park a car, no matter how beautiful the car is. Put engine oil, put fuel. Park it for 1 year. When you come back to that car, you'll be shocked. You would wonder how the interior, all the leather seats started breaking. Nobody sat on it. You know why? Anything that is parked at a stagnated position is affected by all climatic weather. All climatic impact comes on it. Sun will hit that car, it would get it to begin to, change color. Water will fall on it. As long as it's parked at a position, it begins to deteriorate. In most cases, you will need to even service the car before you drive it. Because the engine oil inside is not supposed to be stagnant. It's supposed to be doing a job. So the moment you put the engine oil there and leave it, that engine oil starts decaying. Is somebody hearing what I'm saying? So I meet people day in, day out, and I'm asking them how far. Is the same old story. You know why? They are not acting. I like what Apostle Ben Guy, my friend, said when he came here on Monday. He said there is no witch responsible for church stagnation. The witches are the members. That thing shook me. He said there is no force responsible that Winners Chapel altar, Canaan Land, runs 5 services and jam a whole church with 50,000 people for every service. It's not because they are more blessed and favored. It's because they understand action. I heard every Sunday morning, you see, but in Abuja here, one of my friends traveled to Abuja. He said the members of that church act like wild beasts. If this Winners Chapel you're talking about there, they don't take things lightly and easy. They act like wildfire animals. I was like, tell me more. He said he visited Abuja, where Abioye is, at Goshen City. And he said something shook him. He woke up early morning, preparing to go to that church. Okay, he said initially it wasn't the church he wanted to go to. He wanted to go to one other church. When he came and stood by the road, notice people were standing by the road and cars were just stopping on their own accord. That's You don't wait the car to stop. The car just stops on its own accord. So where he was standing, some people, car just stopped. Piam, he opened the door and people entered. He was wondering, these fine cars that are stopping, is it that they are taxis or something? And nobody's waving there, they are just stopping. And a car came and stopped in front of him. He was looking. He said, where are you going to, sir? He said he's going to church. He said, okay, I'm going to Living Faith Church. Enter, let's go. He entered. He got to that point, stop. People entered. And he got down to church. And what he saw was cars stopping and people were coming out from cars and the cars were turning back. So he was shocked. He was like, what is going on here? He entered the service and the place was jammed to capacity. And he said, Abioye was on the altar preaching. And he said, what is this man preaching? He's just talking one small grammar he's talking. And people are everywhere, overflow. The church sits about 25,000 people, overflow, people everywhere. And that's just first service. And people for second service are already getting ready. When he finished, he went to one of the pastors and asked, he said, what is this thing I responsible? He said, here, don't take it easy. He said, everybody in this church, whether you have a car, a bus, a bike, you're obligated to pack people, whether they are coming to this church or not, for service here. He says, so all you need to do as a member of the church, if you have a car, is just come and stand on the road. Somebody must pick you. So that road leading to where Goshen City is, they declare it a project. They don't need to have church buses to do it. Some charter buses, they declare the project. On Sunday, they just wake up, dress in their suit, carry their Bible. Their job is to fill their car full. And they are packing people without, they don't ask you, self. They just stop for you. Are you going to church? Yes, I'm going to church. They don't ask you which church. They say, enter. You will enter. They carry you straight to Goshen City. They don't ask you which church are you going to. They put you, if you see aggression, you go to Lagos, the same thing. On this Sunday morning, all the mega churches in Lagos, some are there, all the Christ embassies, they are out on the road. What are they doing? They are packing people, whether you like it or not. They say, enter, we are going to church. And they make sure the worship, the service is a heaven on earth experience. You can't come and go back. So I said, I used to think it was too much of prayer that brings the people. So it is the responsibility of the people that brings the people. So you see that in every area of life you want to achieve success, there must be an intentional application of force. An intentional application of force. I don't want to just teach you this morning. I want to help you, show you that this thing we are doing is not theoretical, it's practical. Anytime I come on the altar to preach, I am not preaching theory. I'm telling you what should be done. This thing is practical. I'm unlearning a lot of things and I'm relearning certain things. So look at what Joshua chapter 1 verse 8 says. This book of the law shall not depart from your mouth, but you shall meditate on it day and night, so that you will observe. You may carefully observe to do according to all that is written in it. For then you will make your way prosperous, and then you will have success. Let me show you the principle of action in that scripture. The first thing it says is that this book of the law shall not depart from your mouth, but you shall continually meditate day and night, and so that you may be careful to do. You see that word, to do, according to all that is written in it. So it's not enough to know what is written. You must learn to do what is written. Is it to do all that is written in it? For then you will make. See another word, make. These are action words. Make. What does it mean to make? To create. He said you shall observe to do. You shall be careful to do. This time, not just hear the word, not just store the word up as knowledge, but this time to do. That is where discipline comes. Action is a function of discipline. You can know a thing and still be failing in life. You can know a thing and still be stagnant in life. Why? Because you have not built the necessary discipline to do what you know. And some of you who are very professional talkers, you can speak English, but you've never won a soul. Some of you who are wonderful, skillful at one thing or the other, but you've never started. When you speak here, people know that you are a grammarian, but you have never appeared on radio or TV. It's not just what you know, there must be corresponding action. Corresponding action. Action is simply taking corresponding steps in the line of what you know. Because you can't act on ignorance. You have to know first to act. So what is action? Taking conscious, deliberate steps in the line of what you know. Anything you know is something to do. You don't know things to keep them in your head. They will destroy you. You know things to do them. How do you go to medical school and read medicine and graduate and you are in the kitchen? Studying medicine will be useless if you cannot do medicine. How can you know how to play the keyboard? You have knowledge of the keyboard but has never played on it. Do you now see how success works? You have knowledge of how to make suits but have never made one. Success does not happen in knowledge. Success takes place in action. So if you must see your financial destiny come to fruition, there must be a corresponding action backed up with knowledge. I spent a very large part of the night studying on sewage business. Studying on it. There's some of you who have studied on all kinds of things and never acted on it. I don't need to study for 1 week to act. Sometimes it's just one thing. Just one thing I just know. I end up spending the rest of my life doing it. But there are some that spend their whole life knowing one thing and never spent a day to do it. Never spent a day to do it. The governor of this state, when he came into office on May 29th, is that 2015, when he was elected governor, there were things he said he was going to do in the state. They sounded so big. But do you know, in 2.5 years, we are seeing so many of them on ground. Somebody said it very clearly and it made a lot of sense to me. He said in 2 years, the man has done what the previous administration couldn't do in 8 years. And it's true. You know why? Action. He is the governor of this state, but he's a field man. There's some of you who are too wonderful with the fizzy and the what do I call it? The Selem life. Your life is, hear this. If debts can't touch your hand, you won't prosper. I want to say this to you. If you're the kind of man who have refused, hear this. There are 3 classes of business that you must do if you want to succeed. If you avoid them, you end average. And these 3 classes are classes of business people have difficulties doing. It's not just business as it were. Business is not necessarily buying and selling. Business is simply solving problems. For instance, what am I doing here? It's business. Business. It comes from the word busy. So I'm busy solving a problem. So business is not going to open a shop. It's finding a niche in town and solving a problem. It's employing solution. Deploying solution to a problem. These 3 classes of business, I call them the 3 Ds. A man who does not engage in either of them cannot, number 1, difficult business. Difficult businesses we will consider difficult. I can't do it. It's too hard. That's where the money is. Money is trapped in difficult business. I don't have the time to give you examples of difficult businesses. The examples of difficult businesses. Number 2, dangerous business. Businesses that are very hazardous. If care's not taken, they can even take your life or hurt you or do something. Hazardous business. Businesses that are very dangerous. People run away from it. That's where money is. Number 3, dirty businesses. There's too much money in debt. Everything clean came from debt. Gold came from debt. Gas came from debt. This gas you used to cook your food. All these things you will normally heap and it smells. That's where they bring. What grows your plant is debt, manure. If you can supply cow dung, you are a millionaire. Do you see that there's need for food now? The world, Africa is talking about food. The biggest issue now in debate is food. Food. Global, the UN, the world is talking about food now. Food. How do we preserve food? Because there is population explosion. The governor of this state is highly interested in agriculture. They're talking about food. We have more explosions in population, but there is limited food to feed the people. So if you can get into farming or even supply fertilizer, organic fertilizer, this cow dungs, a millionaire. Some people who see this cow walk around, they poo the whole road. A man who thinks money will go and pack them. But because we are too white-collar job conscious, we have lost our head. I told you something, that I'm about starting a sewage business. Next year I will buy a sewage tank. Let me tell you, it's not about how you feel about what I want to do. It's about the cooler that enters my account. I want to also say this to you, that all the white-collar jobs or all the white-collar businesses you know were once dirty-collar businesses. Dirty-collar jobs that people took and washed. It's called white-collar. So if I'm doing a dirty-collar business or job, all I need to do is take the collar, buy detergent, get water, mix it together, put the collar inside, and wash it. It becomes white. Not what you're busy angering yourself about. have problems with, I tell people, if you want to be rich, don't go to school. You know what school does to you? They take your brains away from you. Go to school. I'm not saying you shouldn't go to school. But don't let them school your head away. Because the richest and greatest guys, trust me, didn't go through this your school. That's why they have their head with them. They took your own away. They made you civilized and they made you feel like if you pack shit, you are. But go to Lagos. All the big skyscrapers you see, they are shit packers. They just solve problems. They help you do what you don't want to do. You are doing big boys. Sorry. They just help you clean up things you don't want to clean up. Dirty businesses. So I'm building a sewage company. Next week, I'll go and register the name. How? By just looking through my window and seeing people who came to pack the shit in my house. They just came to my sockaway and put their pipe. Brrr, and they were drawing the thing. And at the end of the day, we gave them 37,000 for one small thing they collected. Then when I looked carefully also, I looked at these guys. I said, the way these guys are doing this thing, is not looking packaged. I packaged the business in my head. I went into my room, sat down, and I packaged the business in my head. I redefined the business. Let me give you a little definition of what I have. I'm going to register that company. It's not just, it's a sewage engineering firm. They may call other people shit packers. Maybe if I spoke one of them, what's your line of business? We pack shit. That's what. I won't call myself a shit packer. We are called sewage engineers. It's packaging that makes bakery different from plantain chips. It's packaging. It's nothing else. It's packaging. I know where some of you are coming from, so I understand the problems you're having. I understand it. I've outgrown this city. I know it very well. That even if I'm an Ebonyi man, I've outgrown the Ebonyi life. It's so difficult for people to believe I come from Ebonyi State. I've outgrown it. I'm in the class of the Samadei missing reason. I'm in the class of the, the Matthew Sumulo them in reasoning, in how things are done. So I know your battles. I will help you. Don't worry. I know the witchcraft fighting Ebonyi State. That no matter what the governor of this state does, people are still angry with him because they are not giving them stomach infrastructure. But they've given you enabling environment to succeed. If they give you stomach infrastructure now and there's no mental infrastructure, you are gone. It doesn't matter how much they give you to feed your belly. It will end in the toilet. I want to ask you, sir, which one is better now? That they gave me stomach infrastructure, or that I can sit from the window of my house and see what every person is seeing, but I'm seeing it differently? Which one is better? Am I not good for myself to go? Which one is better? That I can sit down and solve a problem born out of my own ingenuity. What if there was no governor in this state? Okay, what if military takes over? Will you go and be telling military stomach infrastructure? When they whip you. No, that's the question. What if there's a coup d'etat in Nigeria now and military takes over government? Do you question military? Is it because we're in the civil democratic reign? Now we're talking anyhow. What if it's the military? I think that's what they are doing in Zimbabwe now. What if it's the military that took over the power? And they send us a colonel here. And he brings tortoise dancers, not python dance, tortoise dance. Or gorilla dance. Can you stand it? You just go and say, all we are saying, give us our pay. What they will whip out of you. I fear a man who is crying infrastructure of the stomach, who doesn't have infrastructure of the brain. If you can't enter a place and see a problem you can solve, you are poor. Poor for life, no matter how much I give you. They gave a guy money in the Bible. 3 people, they gave 5 talents, 2 talents, 1 talent. One had money, but he went and hid it. He buried it. He didn't know what to do with it. The problem was not the smallness of the money was given. The problem was smallness of mind. His mind was too small. I think I showed you last time during Idea Capital, when I was teaching on the Idea Capital. And it's in my book. Get that book and read it. It's not costly. Get a copy if you've not gotten a copy. Of course, that's one of our problems here. We prefer crunchies than books. But do you know the kind of prayer I pray? I don't pray, God, give me car, give me house, give me money. Do you know the kind of prayer I pray? I pray very strategic prayers. I pray prayers like, God, is there anything I don't know hiding somewhere? Please open my eyes to see it. Is there any book I'm meant to read that will take me to the next level I've not come across? Lord, please show me the book. Is there any friend or contact I need to meet that will change my life? Please, Lord, show me that contact. That's the prayer I pray. I don't pray this whole prayer some of you pray. You've prayed it for years, but nothing has changed. Because God is source, men are channels. So I pray prayer of channel. God has no problem with supplies. He has no problem with supplies. The problem is the receiving. The problem is not the giving. He has given us all things. But the problem, I said I wasn't going to scream in this service. I don't want to preach. I want to teach. So let me get back. Calm down, calm down. The problem is in the receiving. It's not in the giving. Amen. If I get into that charismatic thing, I'm not going to. I'll just end up impressing all of you. We like impression in Nigeria. In this church like to be hyped. They like rhyme. They like, yes sir, scream on, ride on, Papa, move. It's good. I don't have a problem with all that. But at the end of it all, in as much as I like people falling under the power of God, when I blow air on them, they shiver, shiver, shiver. Then they fall under the power and all that. I prefer, as you are standing up, you're standing up with an idea. You're standing up with a business plan. You're standing up with an action. Something you're going to go and deploy and make. Don't speak tongues you can't interpret in practical life. It's not how your tongues sound, though, that impresses me. That when you finish speaking it, you have the interpretation to it. So, by just studying that stuff they were doing, I had people in my house. You know what they were doing? Should I tell you? All of them ran into their rooms and they locked their doors. Locked their doors, locked their doors. My younger sister even ran into the kitchen and removed the pot. She collected a pot of spaghetti and took it inside the room and closed the door. How did you take your pot of spaghetti away? He said, that thing is smelly. It's going through the kitchen, this thing. I said, okay. But I was there seeing something different. None of them saw what I was seeing. An axe head fell into a river. Before the axe head came back, the prophet asked, where did it fall? That means you must see it. The thing must have fallen mistakenly, but to come up, it must be deliberate. You may fall down and not know how, but to stand up, you must know how. I said you can fall down unconsciously. Like you're walking now, you miss your step and fell down unconsciously. You can't stand up unconsciously. You must be conscious to stand. So I stood at that kitchen door, at that my bathroom door like this, looking. They were drilling the stuff. I saw the guys looking dirty. When I went back, I said, okay, what did I said, number one, this is a very good business. So imagine Ebonyi State as a whole, Abakaliki as a whole. How many people would ordinarily want to do this kind of business? Not so many. Opportunity for money. If you want to make money, find businesses that will give you power of monopoly. That is, you control the market. You fix the price. You determine value. As you look at how many houses we have, then how many people we have, do you know the value of poo-poo? We poo-poo on a daily basis. You know how much it's worth? You've not checked. I sat down, I checked how many people are in Abakaliki? Then how many people do you receive? People are eating food, going to the restroom daily. I checked, how long does it take for the average compound to fill their sewage, whatever? I checked the number of houses on my street alone. I came out, I looked from the beginning to the end. And I said, wow. And how many companies are doing it? If you check the whole Abakaliki, it will shock you, maybe 1 or 2. So I went to the internet, I started reading about it. How do I license a sewage company? How do I register a sewage company? How do I do this? What is the capital minimum amount I need to start one? I checked all of them, started doing my business planning, started writing my business plan quickly. I said, this week I'll go and register the company. That's the first thing I'll do. I don't need to have the money to buy the lorry first. I'll go and register the company. Have it with CAC. I've registered it and get the necessary license I need to get. Then I'm going into deeper studies on how do they collect this thing and how do they dispose. Now I know other people who collect, go and dispose. Like one of the guys I was talking with, they said they have a place they dispose. I say no. Mine is a sewage engineering firm. I will need to get some of these agricultural engineering students. Let me employ a few of them to show me how I can recycle those sewages into manure. These were things I was thinking. How do I now recycle those things so that I don't waste them? That means I will need a recycling plant. So I'm writing down, okay, how do I turn this shit into something that people will come and buy in sacks and use to grow their plants in their farms? So there is no room for even waste. There's a taking of the packaging. Get my complimentary card. I will employ graduates, especially from this faculty of agric. I will employ graduates. We will not just, like some of them were wearing their polo and their trousers, looking, can't even speak. I said, no, I need people who can speak good English. I employ graduates. I'll give them overall. Then the name of the sewage company will be behind the overall. I'll give them helmets. They didn't even have nose masks while they were doing that. Have you ever seen a company like that in the Abakaliki? They don't have nose masks. I said, I'll buy nose masks. I'll get them hand gloves. They will look sweet. So when they come to drill your this thing, you are talking with like, see what graduates are. I want to redefine that business here. We'll have a corporate office. The way we will run our business. Why? Because somebody is thinking.
For the continuation of this message, please play the next track.